Welcome, chicos y chicas, to the Healing with a Chingona. And here we are. I was thinking about what should I record. And then something that gets in my mind. Like, I'm just getting straight to the point. No hay que perder tiempo. One of the things that I do really think about is my childhood. Me estoy dando cuenta de que a veces no me acuerdo. Like, there's a lot of things that I don't remember about my childhood. It's like a vague memory. It's like a distant memory of like a far, far away type of thing. Y hay veces donde mi mamá me cuenta algo and she's telling me something and I'm looking at her like, are you talking about me or are you talking about your other children? And she's like, no, es contigo. And I'm like, no me acuerdo. Hay muchas cosas que yo no me acuerdo de mi niñez. Y ahora que soy una adulta, I start thinking about it and I'm like, I don't remember because a lot of the times I was busy trying to take care of my mom in a way or be a strong, independent woman. Just kidding, not a woman, but being an independent girl. Because my mom's mentality siempre tenía esa idea de que pues yo casi nunca la ayudé a Jocelyn porque ella podía sola, I really didn't have to help her because she could do it on her own or she figured it out. So it's something that I want to talk about. It's just that, like, I want to know who else goes through that where you barely remember certain stuff of your childhood. Maybe the trauma, maybe the regaños, maybe, several stories here and there. I'm not going to say that my life was completely caca, but it was kind of caca. I am grateful for my mom for being able to do what she could. But in general, there's I feel like a lot of the things that I went through as a child, I didn't have a childhood. But, I think that's most of us in general. A lot of us or some of us, that we didn't really enjoy our childhood. I don't really remember much about my childhood. And it kind of sucks. Like, it's just there's a very blurry line there that I'm just like, wow, I wish I could remember more, but I don't. Let's start off. Like I said, my mom was a single mother for a couple years. She was with my dad. I'll get into the subject about my dad in the near future or later episodes. But yeah, my dad and my mom left each other before he passed away. Like I mentioned, he did pass away when I was 9, turning 10. So there was just like a little, couple years that I have of memories with my dad, and it's just that. But after that, my mom was a single mother. Even after my dad left to Mexico for a couple years, it was me trying to figure out with my mom, and then her having to take care one way or another. Because back then in the year of 2000 somethings, it was not the same thing as here, like now, where everything is at our hands, con el WhatsApp, que con el social media, que el Facebook y todo ese tipo de cosas. My mom had to do really old school shit of having to contact somebody, pues esa persona, decirle a la persona and try and talk to them. It was not like now, or sending letters, So it was not an easy task, and I salute my mom like that, for that. Le doy su aplauso. Le doy su aplauso, le reconozco su fortaleza, porque tener que venirse de un country diferente de Honduras. My mom is from Honduras. My mom came from Honduras, leaving her 4 children behind for a better future, lo que le llaman el sueño americano. It's fucking hard. I don't see myself living without my child. I can't imagine the stress that she went through. All I could do or did was just witness her pain and her struggles first-handedly. So it was something that I did witness a lot, and I think that's one of the reasons why I don't really remember much about my childhood, because I was always busy trying to help my mom. So going back to that, como les dije, mi mamá era una madre soltera por unos cuantos años, even before my dad's passing. I haven't really talked to you guys about this, and I don't remember mentioning it on the other episodes where I was on the other podcast with Itzy, but there was several years where I lived in a shack with my mom, and I'm being transparent as I can be, just being honest with you. It was kind of like a shack. It was a shock and a shack. It was a shack. My mom used to call it el changarro. In this little shack, she would resell stuff. So, used mattresses, sofas, tables, anything that you can think of that has to do with house stuff, furniture. Sorry, I had to pause because I had a call. But as I was saying earlier, I lived in a shack with my mom for, I would have to legit call her and know exactly what age, but we were there for a couple years. And it was a lot. So imagine a shack. It used to be a tire shop, and I could legit put a picture up in my Instagram before I drop this video. Or when I drop this video, I'll post a picture of it in the Instagram, on my Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, go ahead and find me under Luna Cosmica Healing. But yeah, we lived in a shack, and it was what was supposed to be the office, quote unquote office, was actually our room. So imagine a bed for my mom, a bed for me, and living there. Even when my mom was able to bring my siblings from Honduras, that was still my home. And it was a lot. The winter times was hectic. It was freaking cold in there. Having to go to the restroom, I would have to exit the slash office slash room to go to the outside part. Well, the inside, still inside of the shack, but you know, have to walk outside of the room to go to the restroom, and it was freaking cold. So it was a lot. The summer was annoying as well because it was too hot. Imagine Houston weather in a shack. There was a lot of things in my life that I don't remember. I have a best friend. Her name is Wendy. Her mom was basically like a mom to me. This lady, my friend's mom used to take care of me because my mom would work 2 jobs, the resale shop, and at night she would work at a different job. So my mom was a hustler, I could say that much. She was a hustler, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't really have my mom emotionally, because she was always busy. She had to figure out how to take care of me and how to take care of her other 4 children. So it was a lot, and I recognize that now. But like I said, there's a lot of things in my childhood that I don't remember, and I think it has to do with that, because I was also in that mentality of like, how do I help my mom? How do I help her be, you know, less stressed about me? So that really pushed me, and it sucks. Like at the same time, it sucks and it doesn't suck. It sucks because I didn't really have my mom the way that I felt like I needed. And it doesn't suck because for that same reason, I am as independent as I am. And it kind of feeds my ego, which fucking, that's another thing that fucking sucks. Because that independency that I had as a child of, I got it, I could do this shit my own, I don't need nobody to help me, kind of messed me up, you know, growing up. But yeah, it's one of the things that I remember the most is just having to hustle. So my mom would... I would wake up early in the mornings to help my mom take things out, and take things out involves sofas, involved mattresses, full size, queen size, all the mattresses you can think of, even drawers, bedroom drawers, and all these things. Like imagine a 7-8-year-old girl helping her mom taking out this heavy shit outside of the shop. So for a visual, like I said, you guys should follow me on Instagram if you don't, or you probably will see the post first before you watch listen to this episode. But yeah, that was my life, waking up early to help my mom take things outside before the bus came. So I would get up, my pajamas, help her carry some shit out, run back inside to the office / room, get ready for the day, my shoes. And then the bus would come up for me. And then that would start. Like, I remember, I guess it gets me emotional because my soul knows, but my memory does not. Until right now that I'm talking, it's just like, oh, okay. So now my memory is like unlocking people, or not people, but kids. Like, oh, why are we picking up here? Is that where you live? Or jokes, you know? And it was just like, nobody really knew the struggle that I was going through with my mom. And that's why I always say my mom deserves the world, because she did go through a lot. And I saw that a lot first-handedly, especially, you know, from an early age. It was a lot. So I had to deal with that. My mom reminded me a couple months ago where she was like, ay, ¿no te acuerdas que tú no me avisabas, pero llegabas a la casa que te dolían los pies? And I'm like, I don't remember. She was like, sí, una vez me dijiste que te dolían mucho los pies, pero no me querías decir nada. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was laughing because I thought she was joking. And she was like, no me decías nada, pero tus zapatos te quedaban apretados. And my own mentality, I guess, it goes back to trying to protect my mom. So it felt like, I know this now, but at the beginning I didn't. But I know I became a mom's mom where I felt like I had to be strong, even though I was a little kid. So a lot of things I felt like I never told her because I didn't want to bother her with extra shit to worry about. So yeah, there was times where I didn't tell her, like, hey, my shoes fit me tight. Because all I could think about is, my mom doesn't have the money. My mom is here supposedly living the dream, but my mom is struggling. And I would go about life and hearing other kids my age talk about, ay, que mi papá, mi mamá, que mi casa, que esto. Having this thing of like what I thought it was a good life because I didn't know what that was. And I was like 7, 8, this is before my dad passed away. So not to mention after my dad passed away, that was like even extra shit. So even my mom said that there was times where I would go months with shoes that were basically at its end peak life, at expiration point, que ya estaban todos rotos, ya no, casi no se podían usar, pero pues es lo único que podía tener mi mamá, es lo único que ella podía ofrecerme en esos momentos. It was a lot. As you guys as you guys could hear me, I'm stuttering now. I'm like, even it's hard for me to swallow because it was a lot. It was a lot, and I can be honest about that. There were moments where I'm just like, is this what every kid lives? And it's crazy to think because I know there is a lot of children that live through this, but in my mentality is just like, is this what all kids experience? Or I don't think it is, because I hear kids in my school talking about like living with their parents, having a home or living in apartments, or because I would ride the bus, mama would pay the bus. I would ride the bus back home and I would see from home or the shack to school, from the school to the shack, and I would see where these kids would get dropped off, and it was always an apartment and it was always a house. And then it was me getting dropped off at a shack. I'm getting emotional. Oh my God. I didn't know I was going to get emotional. So I understood the hustle. I understood my mom's hustle. And a lot of the times I had to do homework by myself, which is something that I try to do with my son now, is sit down with him or at least be in the same room with him when he's doing homework, because I would remember little me. Because my mom was always working. Like I said, my mom was always busy doing something. I had to always figure it out because my mom didn't have time. My mom didn't have time. And I don't blame her for that. But yeah, a lot of the times I had to do my homework by myself because I couldn't bother her. I didn't want to bother her. And I remember my mom telling her friend, my best friend's mom, ay no, pues es que Jocelyn sí es independiente, que yo casi no he tenido que hacer esto con Jocelyn. Even, when I was a teen, already when I had Michael too, she would always tell me like, ay, yo nunca te tuve que ayudar con nada, tú siempre podías hacerlo sola. Y una vez le dije, and I told her straight up, I'm just like, I didn't want to do things by myself. Like, I don't know why you're so proud of that. Like, I see it. Yes, I see it. But I was annoyed. I was like, I don't know why you were so proud of it. Like, I see it now. I was very independent. And there's moments where I catch myself telling my son that I'm like, I didn't have your grandma telling me to do this. Like, bro, see it. But then it's also like my trauma. I guess my trauma. But yeah, my mom would always say things like that. Like, tú lo hiciste sola, yo no tuve que estar batallando con Jocelyn, que Jocelyn siempre ha sido muy independiente, que blah, 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 blah. So I would be like, girl, mom, yo no quería eso, yo no quería ser independiente, yo quería que tú estuvieras al lado mío haciendo la tarea. And I told her straight up, obviously, and like I said, I did recognize her hustle, I recognized her strength, and she was like, I just didn't have time. And I know she didn't. Honestly, I'm telling you guys, she didn't. A lot of my memories of childhood are very blurry. I don't remember much about it. And I'm telling you guys, as I'm making this episode of talking about blurry memories. And it's that. Your own trauma in your own mind actually just tries to protect you so much because you already went through it. And you already went through the solitude, the anger, the sadness, and all that stuff, that now your mind is just like, well, you don't have to really remember it anyways. It's, you already experienced it, you already lived through it. Why should we keep remembering it? So there's a lot of things I don't remember. Most of my fun times I do know that it has to do with my friend Wendy. Like I said, this is my childhood best friend, and even then when we see each other, it's just we catch up. This is my friend for life. Oh my God, los mocos. But yeah, this is the only good memories I have of having fun as a child, is being able to go to I loved every chance that I had, or I heard my mom say, oh, te voy a dejar con Lily porque pues yo tengo que ir a trabajar. And even though a part of me was like, I miss my mom, another part of me was like, oh, I get to experience childhood, coloring, talking about Pokemon. I was like a tomboyish in a way, talking about Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, playing Sega, Nintendo 64. That was the life. That was the most childhood moments I had besides school. But school is different. Um, in regards to memories with my dad, there's a lot of things that I do remember about him. Now that I'm a medium and now that I'm able to connect with him is different. But before all this extravagant gift, I only remembered his sayings. Ay, que he used to call me negra. Que la negra, que la chingona, que, certain things that he would say to certain situations I remember. But even then, I don't remember a lot. There's things that I know my dad would do, and they were not the healthiest. My dad was very toxic, to be honest. And now as an adult, I see it, and I see now that I know his trauma, his solitude, and everything he witnessed. I know why he was the way that he was. Why are you the way that you are? If you know, you know. But yeah, I recognize it now. But back then, I didn't really understand it. My mom and him were basically toxic for each other, and I'd see that, but I didn't know any better either. I just knew my mom struggling. So I don't know where this podcast is really going. It's just that part of me venting out and letting you guys in a little bit of who I really am and things that I've seen and gone through. But yeah, one of my biggest things is that shack. I remember with my mom, there was this flood back in, I can't remember the years, bro, but there was this flood here in Houston, and it flooded my mom's car. So she was carless for a couple of weeks / months, I remember. And she was able to get a truck. To this day, she still has the truck, but it's all beat down. And I see why she still holds on to it, even though it doesn't work out. I dreaded driving that truck when I was able to drive. Once I learned how to drive, I just hated it because I correlated this truck to all the shit that I was going through with my mom and the things that I experienced with her. I just hated it. It was not even about the looks, because it's an old school truck. It's a Ford 150 light, I don't know what to call it, but it's like it was a good made trucks, la de stainless steel type of shit. Like le das un golpe and your hand hurts and nothing happens to the truck. Your car hits this truck and the truck is gonna be good and dandy to go. Your car, on the other hand, you need full cover. This is the type of truck that it was, but I hated driving that truck for that. But anyways, she got this truck because the car flooded. She was able to get some money from the insurance. And I was excited when I saw that truck in front of the shack. And I was like, ¿y esa troca de quién es? Mira, la acabo de comprar con el dinerito que, pues, me dieron de la aseguranza porque el otro carro se inundó. And I was super proud of it. I'm like, oh, my mom got a truck, But it was crazy going to school with this truck because kids, bro, I'm telling y'all, kids can be fucking annoying. Some kids can be so fucked up. And I don't blame them. I blame their parents. Hay unos niños que son tremendos y son cosas que escuchan de los padres y los niños empiezan a agarrar esas mañas, esas cosas de decir. And I remember my mom dropping me off in her truck, and my mom was happy, she got her truck, she finally has a car, and I was getting dropped off at school, whatever. Kids laughing because ay, tu mamá, ¿por qué maneja esa troca? I was like, bro, like, you just never know what kids are going through. You just never know what somebody's going through for a fucking fact. So there it is, another fucking thing that I did not want to be seen in this truck now because people had always something to say. But I couldn't tell that to my mom because she has enough worries in her head. She doesn't need to know little kids talking shit. But yeah, it's been a roller coaster. It's been a lot of empty spaces that I'm still trying to figure out. Maybe y'all could bring my mom back into this podcast, into my own podcast, and we could talk about stuff in general. But I do want you guys to understand that those blank memories in your thoughts, brain, are not just blank. It's just that your brain tries to protect you. Your emotions try to protect you. Because like I said, I make this podcast talking about the memories that I don't remember. And I'm like, ¿qué más puedo decir? Si ya lo hablé, ya lo dije, y no sé qué más. There's little memories that come to me like, oh, I remember this. And it's just like a new memory unlocked. It feels like new character unlocked type of thing. Like, when you go in the cartoons, was it Pokemon? I don't know what it was, but yeah, it feels like that new memory unlocked type of thing when I remember something that I thought was never there, or I couldn't I couldn't even remember. I'm like, is that really my life? There's things that I remember once I go back into pictures that I'm like, oh, I remember I did that. My mom was a big picture taker. She loves taking pictures, and I think that's where I got it from, because pues lo aprendí en la dura manera because of my dad. You know, I'm so grateful my mom was that type of person to like stick a camera up your face and take a picture. And thanks to that, I have a lot of pictures of my dad. So I'm very grateful for that. And I do the same thing now. I'm always taking pictures of my son or my husband or whatever, like capturing the memory, because es lo único que queda. Like, God forbid anything happens to me tomorrow or today. Anybody could grab my phone, or my family could grab my phone, and there's pictures there for years of years ago and now. But yeah, life is a roller coaster, guys, and it's just full of lessons, experiences, and growth. Your story matters, and it doesn't have to make sense to anybody. Why am I getting emotional? Your story doesn't have to make sense to anybody, but it needs to make sense to you. And it won't make sense to you until you're able to actually speak about it and give it a voice. Just give it light. There's a lot of things about my childhood that I've kept to myself because it's just like, it doesn't matter. But there's a lot of things where, even when I was going with my friend Wendy, and I told her straight up, I told her a couple months ago, I was talking to her, and I was like, I forgot what we were talking about, because unfortunately, her family is going through a lot of loss. And she would tell me, like, she didn't know how to empathize for me. And I was her best friend. Oh my God, why am I crying at the end of this? I was trying to end it, and here I'm crying. She would tell me, like, she didn't know how to empathize for me because she was young. But I loved going to her house, and I told her this because even especially after my dad passed away, her dad became like some sort of father figure in a way, but not really. And then her mom was like my second mom in a way, and well, my friend Wendy was like my best friend. And that was like my sister. Like, I basically grew up with this woman, with this girl. She's just a year younger than me. That's about it. So I told her a couple months ago where I love going to her house because it was like the perfect, oh my God, this sounds so crazy. It was like the perfect place to be, even though I love my mom, but I would see the family that she had, and it was like beautiful because I didn't experience that. And I know a lot of you guys haven't either, or didn't, but this is what I'm telling you guys. Your voice is important. You giving your story a voice is what makes it pushes you to the healing. But yeah, I told her, I'm like, I loved going to your house when I was a kid because it was a perfect scenario for me, something that I never experienced, or technically didn't really experience, because I don't remember. Like, when my mom and my dad were together, I was a kid. I was 2 years old, 4 maybe, 5 at the max before they left each other. So I don't remember really them being together as a couple. But going to my friend's house, it was that feeling. And I told her, I'm like, it was perfect. Like, your mom was like my mom. Your dad felt like my dad in a way. Because very mexicanos también. Her mom, my friend's mom, is hondureña, just like my mom. So it was like that feeling of home. And it felt like, como que ellos me adoptaron en cierta manera. Like, I was like their adopted child. So it was like, it was perfect, and I love that. And I told her straight up, like, I never envied it, or no me daba jealousy. It was more like, this is beautiful. Like, you had everything, you know, in a way. Like, it was a beautiful experience to see from the outside. Now I'm getting quiet. It was a beautiful experience to see from the outside, and being able to witness that not everybody had to go through that, which I was also grateful that not a lot of my friends had to really deal with that. But then there was me, and reality hit once I had to go home, where it's just my mom and me. Which I love my mom to pieces, and I don't blame her for everything or anything anymore. But it was that moment where I'm just like, and I'm crying, and it's not because I'm sad, it's just remembering little pieces that are coming back. I was like, oh, I've been ignoring this for so long, and now here it is. And it's not even tears of, like I said earlier, like the last episode, I'm not crying because it still hurts. I'm crying because, damn, like, I'm being grateful now of seeing how far I've come. And it's just like, I'm not letting that be the reason I stay in a hermit and not talk about anything. I'm giving myself a voice. Maybe it doesn't make sense to you guys, but Jocelyn has been through her stuff. And a lot of you guys don't know me for this version of myself, because you guys always see la relajera que están on the lives, la que habla caca, always talking shit, the one that's always laughing, has a smile on her face. But I also been through my share, and I think a lot of it, most of it, has to do with my childhood. But here I am. I tried to use my experiences, and because also I think life has humbled me since I was little. I didn't have a chance to be like, I got everything under control, or everything's good and dandy. I had to learn the hard way to be where I'm at a very young age before everything else. But yeah, I don't even know what to call this episode. It was a little bit of everything and a lot of nothing at the same time. So I feel lighter. I feel good. But I am very grateful for the experiences life has taught me, and I would not be where I'm at if it wasn't for that. But thank you guys for joining to this new episode. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye, chicas. Bye, chicos. Love y'all.